Hello. I am James, and I live in Manchester in the UK. And you're listening to English with a Brew, a podcast where I talk about different day-to-day topics to help you learn English the most natural way possible. And that is only by listening to it. And if you want to support this podcast, read transcripts, and get exclusive access to more episodes, go to patreon.com/English with a Brew. As we say in Manchester, get a brew on, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to another special episode. How exciting. Today, if you're listening to this the day it's released, is the 26th of July 2024. And that means today is the start of the Olympic Games, or the Olympics in short. If you don't already know, the Olympics is one of the largest sporting events in the whole world. The Summer Olympics happen every 4 years, and this year it is in Paris, France. The first International Olympics in modern history was in the year 1896, in the city of Athens in Greece. But the history of the Olympics is nearly 3,000 years old, and it has transformed over thousands of years into what it is today. Now, in the Olympics, over 200 countries from all around the world participate in over 30 sports. All the athletes compete to win their sport or their event, and the winners are given Olympic medals. The winner, the athlete who comes in first place, gets the gold medal, of course, and second place gets a silver medal, while third place gets a bronze medal. There are lots of different kinds of sports in the Olympics. Some of the more obvious sports include swimming, gymnastics, cycling, and athletics. And all of these sports happen in the big Olympic stadium or in a dedicated venue. Athletics can be divided into two categories: track and field. Track events are usually running events. Some are long-distance races, like the 800 metres and the 1500 metres, or 1,500 metres. And then there's the shorter races, or the sprints, like the 100-metre sprint and the 200-metre sprint. And the current world record in the 100-metre sprint, the fastest anyone has ever ran 100 metres, is still held by Usain Bolt from Jamaica, who ran 100 metres in just 9.58 seconds. It's so impressive that it's almost impossible to believe. It's unbelievable. And the other category, the field events, include things like the discus, the javelin, and the hammer throw, where you have to throw objects of different shapes and sizes, depending on the event, an incredibly long distance. And then there's the high jump and the long jump, and other events where you either have to jump really high or jump really far. These are some of the more well-known events, events that have been in the Olympics for some time. But every Olympics, usually, some new sports are added that are quite interesting. And this time, in Paris, they are introducing breakdancing, which is a type of dance or street dance that usually, or originally perhaps, is associated with hip-hop music And not for the first time, but this Olympics will also include skateboarding and surfing and climbing. Some of the things I love the most about the Olympics are watching some of the less known sports that are actually really entertaining and enjoyable, but a little bit surprising, like table tennis or ping pong, depending on what you want to call it. And some of the martial arts, like judo. I also love learning which countries are good at which sports. In the British team, or in Team GP, as we say here, we're reasonably good at cycling and swimming, and historically quite good at sailing in boats. But other countries are historically better at other things, like China, for example, have typically been very good at badminton and diving, while Brazil, for another example, are good at volleyball and sailing as well. So every time the Olympics comes around, it brings with it an incredible atmosphere. The athletes are impressive to watch because you're watching peak human performance, people at their very best. They're pushing the limits of what is possible. And that takes a huge amount of work, dedication, and commitment. And at the same time, or simultaneously, there's usually a positive, friendly atmosphere surrounding the whole event. It's like a global sports party. Anyway, instead of one question, I actually have two questions for you this episode. Which sports do you like to watch the most at the Olympics? And what sports would you like to see in the next Olympics? Which sports do you want added? Let me know. And that's everything for today's episode of English with a Brew. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you did or if you didn't, and tell me which topics you'd like to hear me talk about in future episodes. And don't forget, you can read the transcript for this episode and get access to more exclusive content over on my Patreon page. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is where you are right now. Take care.